sometimes free. So, if someone can donate,
I don't go to really good people. I have a very weird music taste that most people don't
But what
have.
happens is the state brings the Vegas to Spear.
I don't know.
Call to order. It's 5:30 on June 25th, 2025. This is a special meeting of the Monroe Township Planning Board. Notice of the special meeting was published in the Courier Post and South Jersey Times on June 12th, 2025. And a copy was posted on the second floor bulletin board of the town hall and on the township's website. All other notice requirements for the master plan and public hearing have been satisfied. Please note, audio and video of this meeting is being recorded in accordance with Ordinance 56-2024. The meeting is being broadcast live on the township's YouTube channel, and a link to the view. This meeting will be subsequently posted on the township website for public to view at their convenience. Be advised, no new item of business will be started after 10:30 p.m., and the meeting shall terminate no later than 11 p.m. We'll have the flag salute now. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have the roll call.
Ms. Fox?
Here?
Mr. Giacomucci is excused. Mr. Hessel?
Here.
Ms. Kennedy?
Here.
Mr. Kozak?
Here.
Mr. Laughlin?
Here.
Mr. Maury is excused. Mr. O'Brien is excused. Mr. Wolf?
Here.
Mr. Young is excused. Mr. Campbell?
Present.
And Mr. Canal.
Here.
We'll have the memorialization of resolutions PB 2125, 551 SP Joseph Graber, major site plan approved.
Mr. Chairman, or Shessel, I drafted and circulated the resolution for the board to adopt, reflecting or memorializing your approval of a site plan application at your last meeting, and that's indexed at Planning Board Resolution 2125, and it would be appropriate for a member to make a motion to adopt that ordinance.
Can we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Kozak?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Hessel?
Yes. Okay, we'll have the public hearing of the master plan amendment, housing element, and fair share plan, and I'm going to pass that over to our council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a way of background, and I won't steal much of Tim's thunder because we're going to hear from Tim. As everyone knows, every municipality in the state has to comply with fair share housing rules and regulations, sometimes referred to as COA. And we're now in the fourth round of that. And the law requires that every township adopt their fair share housing plan, which is actually an amendment to the township's master plan, by the end of this month. And so you're not alone, because if you were to look around, there are many other municipalities having special meetings just like this yesterday, today, and tomorrow, trying to get it done, because it's a fair amount of work for your planning staff to put together the fair share housing plan, and I think they've done a very good job on it. In a minute, I'll ask your permission to swear Tim in, and then he can provide you with a summary of the plan at the end of his presentation. After you're satisfied with his presentation, any questions you may have, I'm going to ask you to adopt a resolution which I circulated, which formally adopts the plan, which is a requirement under the law. That's the planning board that adopts the plan as an amendment to your master plan. As two matters of housekeeping, since this is technically a hearing, I'm going to mark two documents as exhibits. So the first exhibit is Exhibit 1, and it's an affidavit that Scotty has filled out, and it attests to the fact that this is a special meeting which has been properly advertised, that the purpose of the special meeting is to amend your master plan by adopting the housing element of your master plan, and therefore it was advertised in the local newspapers as required. Notices were sent to adjoining municipalities, putting them on notice of the hearing, and the various state agencies in Pinelands also got a copy of the notice for today's hearing and a copy of the housing element and fair share plan. So that's Exhibit 1. Exhibit 2 is actually the plan. It's entitled 2025 Housing Element Fair Share Plan that Tim will describe in greater detail. So for the record, those would be Exhibits 1 and 2. Mr. Kernan, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide this board is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you share with the board an overview or a summary of the Fair Share Plan?
Yes, I'd be happy to. And everyone, I know Scotty emailed it out electronically, so everyone's had a chance to poke through it a little bit. Good, I see nods. Yes, all right. I'm going to start, just for the record, on page 1 of the Housing Element and Fair Share Plan, where we, in the introduction, we go on to say that each town has a 4-part obligation. There's a present need, or what's called a rehabilitation obligation. That, for this round, is 50, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Then there is a prior round obligation. That's the first 2 rounds, and they span the years 1987 to 1999. So that's like a 12-year period in the first 2 rounds. Then the third component is the third round, which is ending now. It's ending June 30th, next week. July 1st starts round 4, and it's a 10-year round. That third round spanned 1999 to 2025, so it's like a 26-year round. And COA just was dysfunctional for most of those years, and that's why it took 26 years to get through round 3. And here we are, so the fourth component is the fourth round prospective need. So it's a calculation of what the prospective need is over the next 10 years to provide at least an opportunity, realistic opportunity for affordable housing to be constructed and occupied here in the township. And so that'll run July 1, 2025 to, I guess, June 30 of 2035. So that long third round, there was a lot that went on in that. There were I'm not going to get into it, but there are many lawsuits with the township. Ultimately, there was, in the Superior Court, there was a declaratory judgment of compliance and repose issued by a judge on October 5th in 2016 for that. We call it the gap period because the third round just went on and on and on for decades. So here we are, the fourth round. It started on March 20th of last year when the governor signed some new legislation. It's still kind of in the courts, but it's not. There's this dispute resolution board program that maybe Ed knows even more about than I do. That's going to administer the fourth round. And there's this Fair Share Housing Center, which is an interested party, a nonprofit out of Cherry Hill, and they intervene in every town throughout the whole state. They intervene in everyone's matter. So here we are, just embarking on the fourth round. So DCA last fall, they calculated a present need, or again, a rehabilitation obligation of 50 units. And that's like a reset. Every time a new round comes around, they calculate what that present need is. And that's really substandard housing stock that exists in the township that should be rehabilitated, maybe lacking plumbing or electricity or HVAC or something. So 50 units for that. And then the fourth round prospective need, we were assigned a number of 303 units. And again, that was done by DCA, and I'm sure they hired a firm to help them do that. The town was required to accept or challenge that number by the end of January, and we did that. Mayor and council, they adopted a resolution on January 22nd, accepting the DCA's calculations of the 50-unit rehab obligation and the 303-unit prospective need obligation. A couple days later, on January 24th, the township filed a complaint for a declaration of compliance with the Fair Housing Act, and that kind of started this process. There was a 30-day challenge period where interested parties could challenge our number that we agreed to and set in January. No one did challenge. So Judge Robert, I may be butchering his name, Malstein, Judge Robert Malstein issued an order on April 21st of this year, ordering that the township's present need shall be 50 units and the prospective need shall be 303 units. That's only 2 months ago. And then we had those less than 2 months, or about 2 months, to put this plan together based on those numbers that were set back in late April. So, as Ed said, this is an element of your master plan. And in your master plan, there are goals for affordable housing, goals and objectives, one of which is to ensure decent and affordable housing for all present and future residents of the township, without regard to their economic status, by providing for a full range of housing choices that are affordable to low, moderate, middle, and upper income households. So that's present and future, and that's why there's a present need of 50 for substandard housing. Just a quick summary of the town's obligation going back over these 4 rounds. So the present need today is 50. The prior round obligation, rounds 1 and 2, was 439. We met that. We exceeded that. We had surplus that we carried into round 3. Round 3, the obligation was agreed to with Fair Share Housing Center, because that's when it was in the courts, because the state was defunct. So we agreed to a number of 400. We met that. We exceeded that. We had excess that we carried over. And here we are in the 4th round, and that obligation, as I mentioned, is 303 units. So what's in a housing element? So there's a lot of required content of a housing element. I am not going to go through that at all, but one of it, which is an update on demographics. Where's the township today with regard to population in all different categories over the years? Then there's a housing demographics. So we had to update housing demographics. Then there's employment demographics. We had to go through an update on employment demographics, all to get a picture of the housing stock and the people that live in the town, who they are and what they do for work and so forth, what they make, what their income is, and then a projection into the future of housing stock. So we do all that. Then we look at the capacity to supply these 303 new units over the next 10 years. We look at the land capacity. There's a lot of open land in Monroe. 2/3, though, is really subject to the Pinelands, and most of that is low density forest area, ag production. But there's some regional growth areas. Probably most of it's been developed. So we look at land capacity and then utility capacity, water, sewer. And we have the Monroe MUA. Years ago, township interconnected with Clayton and then Glassboro to get, settle a lawsuit with builders back many years ago. I think there's plenty of capacity. So we move on to, so that's like the housing element, which is, again, part of your master plan. Then the fair share plan is, well, how are we going to address these needs and fulfill these obligations? 50 present need units, existing housing stock that need to be rehabilitated, and 303 prospective needs units. So I'm going to move to page 36. So the mechanisms for round 4, for the rehab mechanisms, we have 2 methods. So Gloucester County has an owner-occupied rehabilitation program. And again, owner-occupied, so it's for folks that own their homes. That's one way we get credit, is through that program. We put into place during the round 3 in the gap period over the last decade or more, we put in a renter rehab program. And we did that with help from Triad Associates, Mayor and Council, appointed Triad as an administrative agent for affordable housing, and they helped put that program together. Those programs exist, and they're in place to help meet this 50-unit present need or rehab obligation. And then for the 303 unit prospective obligation, we have many mechanisms to meet it. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we met. I was going to mention the prior rounds, 1 and 2, but they were so many years ago. But the 3rd round, I'm just going to mention some projects that helped us fulfill our obligation. That was that 400 unit obligation. Justin Commons, down 322, heading towards Glassboro, 132 unit family rental. It's a project that came in. A new project that we're actually splitting credit between the 3rd round and the 4th round is called High Top Development. Mayor and Council entered into an MOU with them in the fall, I guess October or so, and we're working towards a project with them. And that'll help satisfy both the prior rounds, third round, and this fourth round. Barclay Glen South, that's under construction. That's out by Cross Keys and 42 behind Sam's Club. So you had Barclay Glen get built first, some commercial out front, Barclay Glen North, Cinder Bar, the daycare. Now Barclay Glen South is under construction. It's 336 apartments, of which 11% or 37 of them are affordable, under construction. Acme Shopping Center, there's been a redevelopment plan in place for too long, but it's still in place and there's a realistic opportunity there. Whitehall Gardens on Whitehall Road, right, being built by Bruce Paparone, maybe coming to completion any time now. I believe we have a total of 22 affordable units in there, age restricted. Muse at St. Mary's, right behind the church and the school, right here is going up as we speak. 75 senior rental units by the Diocese of Camden. Blaze Mill Market to Affordable program, that came out of a settlement agreement, a lawsuit from the Blaze Mill folks. And that program is, Market to Affordable program is working. It's slow, but it's there. And then there were some rental bonuses in that prior round. So we met that and exceeded that 400 unit obligation. And then here for the fourth round, we have a handful of mechanisms. Again, high top development. So there's a total of 48 affordable units we're taking credit for, and most of them, 35, are in this fourth round, starting on July 1st. So the others we took credit in the prior round, round 3. Route 322 Associates. This is the what's known as the Cassidy Tract. It's the southwest corner of Fry's Mill and 322. They, not the Cassidys, but this guy Al Mankin came in and got approvals from the zoning board for a mixed-use project. 70-some townhomes, a Wawa that's now being built up at the Tuckahoe corner, some other commercial, some other retail. It just never got off the ground. Now the concept that the same broker developer, Al Mankin, and the Cassidys have is a senior, like assisted living, retirement community, which would generate 137 rental units, 27 affordable units out of that. Barclay Glen South, I mentioned, we're splitting the credits between the prior round and this fourth round. Same with Muse at St. Mary's. So we're applying 16 units to the fourth round, and we get 8 bonus credits off of that. Williamstown Square redevelopment site, that's surrounding Norton's Funeral Home across from CVS, the old Acme Center. That has, in the redevelopment plan that was amended for like this, at least the second time, it allows for nearly 600 residential units. Some of the Muse at St. Mary's is part of that project. There's credit for the 75. So the obligation to any future developer for Williamstown Square is only 78 units. So it's not as large of a lift because there's also a PDC obligation there. And we're trying to work with the owner and brokers to advance that. There's a lot of interest today for Williamstown Square to redevelop that. That's going to produce also 39 rental bonuses out there. Pine Estates recently received approval. Project may or may not happen, but it's on the books. 15 affordable. We don't even need all 15 in the plan, so we're applying 11 credits. So we have some excess credits in this round. And then Cross Keys, again, so not just Barclay Glen South, in addition to the original Barclay Glen and Barclay Glen North, but all that other ground that Petrangolo's owned are under contract with the same developer who's building Barclay Glen South, and he has a concept plan, and he's written a letter to the mayor and council wishing to be in this plan to build not more apartments, thankfully, but townhomes and maybe some twin homes or small lot singles. So out of that, he's proposing, like in those farmlands, another 322 units, of which 66 would be affordable. You put all that together, and we meet our 303 unit obligation with 240 units, 63 bonus credits. And we still have in our pocket, I think, about 60 credits in excess. So one project doesn't go, we can slide another project in, and this is just the start of the 10-year period. Who knows what developers are going to come propose to the township between now and the next 10 years. So I think the town's in a good place, and that's pretty much the plan. And the town's been proactive for all these years, just, trying to advance their obligation with the affordable housing. So we're in a really good spot. Like, we didn't really have to scramble that much to meet this new number of 303. Sorry.
Mr. Canan, can you just explain the importance, the obligation itself, and what that means as it translates when these developers do come in, the typically 20% of the residents that they're building, they have to do affordable, and the township's hands are somewhat tied in a sense that we have to meet this obligation.
You do.
And that 303 units equates to about 1,500 new homes over the next 10 years have to be built in this township just to meet the obligation of the affordable housing. And if we don't, we get penalized as a township.
That's true. And we're trying to tamper that a little bit with one or two 100% affordable projects, like what I was saying at the corner of Fry's Mill and 322, so that it's not just a set aside, because that number, it just keeps driving higher and higher. So we have a couple, and there's also another project that's not even in the plan, potentially on Radix Road. That would be another senior 100% affordable project. And purposely in this round, we're looking to senior affordable versus like Scotland, or now Justin Commons, but it was originally called Scotland Commons. That's family rental. So we're now looking towards senior. But yeah, I mean, if we did not prepare this plan and your board did not adopt this element, and mayor and council later on tonight doesn't endorse this plan, the town would lose their immunity from lawsuits, what they call builder's remedy lawsuits. Any builder could come into the town and sue and say, I want to build it 30 units to the acre. I want to build 2,000 units on this, this tract of ground, and you can't stop them. They would win a lawsuit because there'd be no more immunity. So this provides immunity and a plan, like a realistic plan, but a blueprint. Where it's going to be, where the growth is going to be, and the affordable housing will be with it. Without this, it would just be scatter. It would just be reacting to lawsuits.
And I just want him to clarify that, because I know sometimes the planning board gets beat up by the public, and the town council does, and my office does, not really fully understanding that we are obligated to do this. So thank you for explaining that.
Sorry, the 1,500
We're one or
homes,
two.
is that in the
Sorry,
next
Sherry.
10 years? Or
Yes.
the 1,500 homes?
We have 303 that we have to do in the next 10 years, which would equate to 20% would be 1,500 homes.
Thank you.
Yeah, New Jersey is one of, I think, only 2 states that has a constitutional obligation to provide a fair share of affordable housing. And then the state passes it on to all the towns within the state, and there's an obligation.
Does anybody else have any questions for Tim?
Just one more. What do we do with these credits? Like, what are the credits? Like you say, we have like surplus of 60 credits. What do we get for our credits? Do we get, or they can just go to the next, like?
Pat on the back, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
we
didn't
can
know if
bank
there
them
was
for
any, like,
future.
special incentive if we had enough credits.
Yeah, no.
But you can use them in the future, so.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, and also, I mean, one of the best parts about this plan too is there's all the affordable that's in this plan is basically multifamily, townhomes, condos, apartments, not single family. Like, it doesn't work to try to set aside an affordable unit to a low, moderate income household in a single family development. It just hasn't worked, in my opinion, in New Jersey very well. So we geared all the units to multifamily. So when single family development comes in, they pay a fee. They pay 1.5% on every closing, every house that closes, of the equalized assessed value. So if a house closes for $500,000, the town gets a check for $7,500. And that goes into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and then the balance of that trust fund goes up, up, up. And now the town can use that money to sponsor affordable housing and to to help pay for the rehab programs, for the rental and all that. And market to affordable. It provides money for the programs that Triad administers.
So I should open to the public.
Yes, yep.
We're going to open to the public. Have a motion to open to public. Motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Being nobody out there in the public want to speak, motion to close public.
Motion to close.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So if there are no further questions for Mr. Kernan, Mr. Chairman, it would be appropriate if a member of the board wanted to make a motion to adopt a resolution PB 22-25, which is entitled Resolution Adopting the Fourth Round Housing Element and Fair Share Plan. And what it does is the resolution recites the history to a large extent that Tim reviewed with you, and explains that we have an obligation for 50 rehabilitation units and 303 affordable units, and adopts this plan as an amendment to the township's master plan. And Tim is correct that if we don't do this and council doesn't later tonight endorse it, the township loses certain protections it has against builder remedy lawsuits. And so by adopting this, yes, you're committing to the 303 units, which if it's built out at 20%, it reflects 1,500 units. But the risk is if you don't, then a developer could come in and have much greater latitude to ignore your zoning ordinances and your land use ordinances to build what they want. And so by adopting the plan, you abide by the law and you maintain your ability to control and regulate smart growth and effective and efficient development in the township.
Can I get a motion to accept the master plan and the housing element fair share plan amendments?
Motion, I make a motion to accept
Need a second?
Second.
We'll have roll call vote.
Ms. Kennedy?
it. Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Kozak?
Tim has laid out a reasonable plan to meet our fair share housing needs, yes.
Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
And Mr. Hessel?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so now public.
I don't know how we chewed up a whole half an hour.
How about that?
Long-winded, Tim.
Yes.
No.
One other matter on the agenda.
Can I get an approval of the minutes for June 2nd, 2025?
I'll make a motion to approve the minute.
Get a second?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Ms. Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Kozak?
Yes.
Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
I'm going to abstain. I don't believe I was at that meeting.
Mr. Hessel?
Yes. Okay, do we have any reports?
Just
Nothing.
a reminder that the next meeting is Thursday, July 10th. Thursday, July 10th.
I have nothing to report either.
Okay, with no further business, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All
July.
right.
Good job, Tim.
Thank you.
Two more meetings.
Two more.
6:30.
Two more.
They come in for the regular